And I was like, okay, I want to bring this to life. How can I do it? And so I decided to pretty much interview people like really one on one in person. And so one of my first interviews was this girl, her name's Danelle, and she is actually from LA and a singer and amazing. She has, I think, or I hope she has new music coming out. And we had conducted, she was the first interview I conducted. And then from there, it was kind of getting the ball rolling. I had friends who were in the NBA, so just learning their journey. So would have them come over to my parents' house, sit, and we just have this conversation, and then put that, it was more audio at the time. And ever since I had dropped it for a while because it was a conflict of interest in the other jobs I was at. And so I just recently brought it back and I'm just like, it's been on the back burner, but I've been thinking about it recently more and more. And I really wanted to tell stories again. I love telling stories. And this is such a great platform to share those inspiring stories to the world, who my audience is, who's listening, and hopefully they relate and it translates to them.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Truth That Heals podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Anthony Hernandez, and today we have an awesome guest, Payal, who is also a podcaster, and we're going to talk all about podcasting, journalism, and even a bit of sports. So please welcome to this episode of the Truth That Heals our guest, Payal
Thank
Doshi.
you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Welcome to the podcast. And before we even really get started, can you warm up this episode by sharing with us your podcast and what it's all about?
Of course, my podcast is called Passion Projects, and the premise of the show is to talk to people from all walks of life who've been able to turn their dreams into reality and how they continue to stay motivated in their craft. I love to learn about the challenges that they've overcome, the successes that they've built, and advice that they might have for someone in the field or who's looking to get into the field. I've had guests from Kristen Ledlow, longtime broadcaster in the NBA, to a local chiropractor, to a local radio analyst for the Toronto Raptors. And he had a book out called We the Raptors. And so it was really nice to connect with him and learn about the stories behind these role players that had such a pivotal impact on the team. And ultimately, that led to winning a championship in 2019.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear the enthusiasm behind your voice when you're speaking about podcasting because me as a podcaster as well, I think when I see other podcasts sharing their passion for the craft, it also spurs me on to keep going. And I say spurs because I'm in San Antonio, so but I'm not really a Spurs fan. Sorry for the people in San Antonio. I know I'm here, but I'm not really a Spurs fan. Go Lakers. Anyways, let's put sports on the side for a moment. And in your background, yes, you do have sports and journalism, but I wanted to ask from these two, which one was your first love?
Definitely sports. I grew up a baseball fan, actually, and it was my first love, the Blue Jays. My dad introduced us to T-ball, and the Blue Jays at the time had won back-to-back World Series, and there was just something so fun about playing the game. But ultimately, that evolved into basketball, and then when the Raptors came into existence, I'm dating myself, but I was in grade five, and I knew right then and there, I'm like, this team, this is the team I'm going to follow from day one. And actually, the journalism piece kind of evolved with that. So instead of writing homework in my agenda, I would write game summaries after each and every Raptors game in purple pen as well. That's what the color was of their unis at the time. So that kind of evolved into a career. If I told myself, if I can't play the game of basketball, I want to do something pertaining to it. And so that led me to creating my own blog, to doing YouTube videos, and ultimately, I was working in a local TV station for a music show. And then that kind of spiraled into working for the NBA. And then after that, the Miami Heat, and so on and so forth.
Okay, wow. So sports was your entrance into the whole world
Yeah.
of journalism. Now, you were saying how you would be writing summaries after each game in purple pen. Sounds like you were a diehard fan.
My room was painted purple. My mom and dad thought it was a phase and they thought I was crazy because I would even collect newspapers and I had the clippings, everything in my room from when they first started, just, moments that were both like I feel like I lived and died by this team. So the highs were the highs and the lows were the lows when they were 16 and 66 and it was their third season in the league and I remember making penny bets with another guy in my grade 8 class. Just, I would always bet on the Raptors. I always felt somehow some way that they could pull out a victory. And as I evolved in understanding the game of basketball and what it's all about, I've also learned that it's brought me so many different places too, and I'm so thankful for that. And it's really evolved my career, and it's crazy to think what an orange ball can do, but it can really take you places.
Now, as a child growing up with this fascination for the sport, and not only basketball, but also baseball, were you yourself active?
Yes, I was playing the game. I was participating in recesses with all the guys. It was like, you tend to see the girls doing their own thing, but I had to get involved. Played 21, and I was wearing glasses at the time too. So, I'd go up for the rebound and the ball would always just hit my nose. And I'm just like, why does this always happen to me? But it was just the roughness, I think helped evolve into like building my confidence as well. I was like a really shy person in elementary school. And then getting into high school kind of broke out of my shell, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do until I entered university. And that's when I kind of dabbled with the idea of writing for the local newspaper in university and building that into something that was different. Like being a South Asian, it's always ingrained in us that we should be a doctor, lawyer, dentist. And, math was never my strong suit. I couldn't stand it. And so I was like telling my parents, they were very supportive, which is key, I think, which helped really in building the career that I wanted. Because in the reporting world, it's hard. I've got so many doors slammed in my face. I've had so many people tell me no, but it's that one person that really believes in you that will open that door for you and that will spiral into good things and evolving into the person you become.
You said right now about, doors closing on you and, the no's that you received. And um, I want to get back to that. But first, I wanted to go back to that time before college where you were trying to be a baller as much as you could, and the ball was hitting you in the nose. But through those, maybe you can say hiccups or those adventurous moments on the basketball court, how did that shape you? Do you think that it taught you something, even though you weren't good at ball, but the fact that you showed up on the court?
Yeah, I think sports in general provides a lot of life lessons, showing up, being there for your team. I was in high school and I would always try out. Never made the team just once, but I don't know if that was really out of pity but it's just knowing how much you're dedicated to your craft and wanting to succeed. I would be, for example, Raptors games weren't always on TV when I was growing up, so they would be on the radio. So I would be outside in my backyard and like, just pretending 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you'd always go hit the game-winning shot. It's Pyle, and like you play back those moments in your head, but it's like I learned how much I was able to build the confidence in myself, and in trusting others as well. That was huge for me too. Just knowing I was always the point guard. I never grew up to be 6 feet tall, so I was always the distributor, and I feel like that really translated into who I am and in my career.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up about, just showing up and also how it's able to kind of stretch you when maybe you're not good at it, but you're still showing commitment. And we see that with the Toronto Blue Jays. Last season, they weren't the best. Where were they? Were they like the last place or?
Yeah, the year before they were last, and like what a difference a year makes, and just re-signing Vladdy for 14 years, so he's like the foundation of the team, and just like so many of these guys, these role players that you got to learn about in the World Series. um that was such heartbreak for us as Jays fans. We had it, we were like 30 years, it's been 30 years. I remember where I was when they last won, right? And the one thing about living in Toronto is that sports always brings the country together, because the Blue Jays are just not Toronto's team. They're the only team in the country. So it was the same with the Raptors when they won the championship. It's so amazing to see everyone come together and witness firsthand. Of course, the outcome didn't go our way, but we tried, and hopefully this coming season things align, and the Jays win the World Series.
Well, we'll
Putting that
see.
out there. I'm just putting
Yeah.
it out.
So I don't know if the listeners know, but I'm a diehard Dodger fans, but I have to tip my hat to the Blue Jays because they showed one hell of a rally. And yeah, I thought we were done. I thought game 6 and 7 was going to be it. And then it was like almost like miraculous. And I don't want to rub it in anyone's face, but just, I mean, it was the best series I had ever seen. I'll just stop it
By
there.
far.
I'll just stop it there because yes, I mean I'm just so happy for my Dodgers, but so anyways, um, moving on. I wanted to talk about the struggles that you experience in the sports world, and but now going forward, you went to college, and then hey, this is what I want to do. As a journalist, what were some obstacles that you can remember now looking back?
I think one that stands out to me was being the only woman in the locker room when it came to interviewing players. It was intimidating. Um, I remember going down to cover the team, and not even just being the only woman, but being the only woman of color in the room. It's hard for others to relate, but at the same time, I think it also just made me, my personality was like, just the persistence, right? So, like, kind of the adrenaline rush just hit. So it's like, okay, you got to do the job that you decided to do, and you're going to execute this story that you have in mind. Just go out there and just interview the person, right? Like, you just have to kind of get out of the fear, or the or see them as people instead of seeing them as athletes on a pedestal. You know what I mean? And so I think that was one of the challenges I faced. And also, like I had mentioned about the nose, right? I mean, how was I going to get my start if everyone was not giving me an opportunity? And the only way I kind of set out and one of the ways I went up doing that is by just going to YouTube. And at the time, YouTube was starting out. It was a platform that people were exploring. And I was like, okay, I kind of know how to edit, but here I'm going to take my chance. So at the time, again, dating myself, mini TV cameras. I had a makeshift tripod that was my speaker stand in my room, put my little mini DV cam on top, and it was point and shoot, and let's go. And then from there, I built stories together. You know, I would get photos that I would overlay on top, learning how to use Final Cut and scripting my own scripts, right? So it was a lot of trial and error, but it was a lot of me putting in the work to get to where I wanted to go.
So did your career as a journalist and as a YouTuber, were they like kind of at the same time?
I would say at one point a little, and then it kind of evolved into uh, becoming more of a journalist, and then actually going into social media. So it was one after the other.
So would you call yourself a, now this is kind of going to a different territory, but would you consider yourself as a YouTuber first and then a podcaster, or equal, or a podcaster first and then a YouTuber?
I would say content creator.
Content creator. Okay,
Yeah,
cool. And it's a lot of work, isn't it?
it is, right? You know firsthand as well.
Yeah.
But it's fun and it's what you love to do as well. So I think that that helps, right?
Yes, as long as there's a genuine love for it, and I'm not trying to do this for other motives, but my motive is authentic. So it makes it a lot easier.
It does. Like I always hope that when doing my podcast, if I can just touch one person or inspire one person, then I feel like I'm making a difference, right? And I'm just hoping that these episodes really translate into that work.
Now, going back to your time as a journalist, and you were mentioning the, I guess the, maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure if frustration is the right word, but just the difficulty of being in the locker rooms, and you find yourself really not exactly fitting in, but you're making yourself show up.
Mhm.
Were there any athletes that you can remember who were just amazing and who were welcoming and who were kind?
Yeah, there were like when I would go to media day and interview the Raptors, they were all super nice. One was Amir Johnson. He was like, him and I had this really great working relationship. And so I had a segment was called Always Looking Up in a Short Girl's World. So the whole premise was poking fun at my height. And so we would do these little back and forth like skits in a way still up on YouTube, but it was fun. It was engaging. It was entertaining, you know? And that kind of evolved into just like having fun with the job as well as and building relationships. I think that that's a huge part. You know, Steph was also such a great down to earth person. Um, I think relating to what he's interested in, which at the time I remember providing him with a bag of Maynard's candy, and that was like it's only available in Canada, and his wife's Canadian. So I remember reading up on how much he loved this candy, and so kind of giving it to him, but like also doing something fun around telling that story. Giannis is another one. In Toronto, there's a huge Greek population as well, and I know how much he loves his Greek chocolate. And so we had a little fun, you know, just working on a piece together after the game in the locker room. And then he actually had given me shirts that he had signed to give away for my blog at the time too. So that was cool, you know. It's just fun and really loose and happy, hoping people just got a laugh and got a smile.
And you said blog. Is that still something that you're working on?
No, I no longer do. I did do one to reminisce the Raptors 30th anniversary season. So it was more shorts I was doing on YouTube. But I haven't done much of the blogging. I'm hoping maybe bringing that back. Just working on getting my way back into covering sports again.
And like, what platform did you use for your writing? I mean, like, there's different platforms. Me, like, before the podcast, and I don't know if maybe this resonates with you, maybe it doesn't, but to be honest, I was terrified. I didn't like the sound of my voice, and plus, there were some things that were just hard to just come out. So I started off by writing blogs, and that helped me. And I used WordPress, but for you, like,
Ooh, yeah,
WordPress.
WordPress was where it was at. Yeah, I would use WordPress. I was Raptor Central. And I would use Blogspot too. So Raptor Central at blogspot.com. Was that affiliate of WordPress? I want to say it was.
I don't know, but now like everyone's using Substack.
Yes, Substack is, yeah. So again, dating myself, but Substack is definitely a new thing. I need to get myself a Substack. That's like next on the list. But I'm on every other social media platform.
So now I wanted to now get into a bit of your transformation because we've seen how you've evolved from a little girl getting the ball, hitting your nose and, boink, and eventually you just showed up for yourself. You did what you loved and you received a lot of no's, but you still kept on going, kept on grinding. Then you have you're doing journalism, but then you started doing YouTube and you started a podcast. In the beginning, you told us a bit about it, but can you share with us what was it that sparked the idea of doing this passion projects with Pyle in the first place?
It kind of came to me. So in 2018, it was like podcasts were kind of beginning to take off, but they weren't fully there. And I had an idea and I was like, okay, I want to bring this to life. How can I do it? And so I decided to pretty much interview people like really one-on-one in person. And so one of my first interviews was this girl, her name's Danelle, and she is actually from LA and a singer and amazing. She has, I think, or I hope she has new music coming out. And she was the first interview I conducted. And then from there, it was kind of getting the ball rolling. I had friends who were in the NBA, so just learning their journeys. So would have them come over to my parents' house, sit, and we just have this conversation. And then it was more audio at the time. And ever since I had dropped it for a while because it was a conflict of interest in the other jobs I was at. And so I just recently brought it back and I'm just like, it's been on the back burner, but I've been thinking about it recently more and more. And I really wanted to tell stories again. I love telling stories. And this is such a great platform to share those inspiring stories to the world, who my audience is, who's listening, and hopefully they relate and it translates to them.
So you're saying that it was a conflict of interest. Did something happen where at work where it was no longer a conflict of interest?
Um, I think when I was working in sports, it definitely was a conflict of interest because I did want to do more sports journalists or interviews with athletes in college. But when you're working at these major corporations, you definitely have to ask the right people to see if it is something that's possible to do. But Then I had dropped it and I didn't really think much of it until I got that spark in me again. I feel like I had lost it and I was able to discover it again, you know? Um, I think after personally, after having a baby, my postpartum was really difficult. So I think I lost who I was and I lost a lot of that. And it's taken me a long time, but I finally feel like I'm at a place where I love who I am again, you know? I'm this completely new person in a good way, and I want to bring that forth to the world.
Now, during your well, first of all, how long have you been podcasting for?
I had done episodes all the way up until COVID. So I had started in 2018, and then I would have guests one after the other. And then after COVID, or during COVID, and then after that, I picked it back up again just this past year.
Okay. And during your time as a podcaster from before, during that time, you had a pretty good run from 2018 up until COVID. But during that time, were there any moments where you questioned if this was for you?
I don't think so, because I definitely knew how much I loved being in the space, and I definitely wanted to share stories. So I never really questioned it because I knew this is what I wanted to do.
So you were saying earlier that it was mostly audio. How is it like now that you can upload? And I was listening to one of your episodes earlier today, the one about the Blue Jays. And I think it's a video file. So how does it feel that now it's not only audio, but you can also put video files as your podcast episodes?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love that being able to share video, I think helps so much because you get a visual component of it as well. You can choose to listen to the audio or video, but I think you get to see more of someone's expression in various conversations that you're having. And so I think that definitely helps.
And what has made you fall in love with podcasting? I know you do journalism and you were in the locker rooms, but it sounds like you've gone all in. Like, what's brought your heart into this direction?
I think just understanding how much everyone has a different story and wanting to share that. Everyone's gone through different struggles in life. There's no linear path. And I think that definitely helps me, first off, feel like I relate to them. And then secondly, I feel inspired and I feel like I want to keep going and share stories. They might not be big household names, but at the same time, they share and align with goals I follow or may not follow too. And so that helps build that conversation for sure.
Were there any guests that you had on your podcast that their story stands out to you today?
Oh, yeah, I think each and every one of them for sure. I recently had I would say Jessica in the kitchen. She is a vegan chef and blogger, and she's from Jamaica. And she went to school for law and decided that wasn't for her and really wanted to do something in the content creation space and specifically within veganism. And so she dove into sharing her story and her journey to get to where she is and how much cooking inspired her and became her love language. And it was, her grandma and her mom that really sparked that interest in her and that passion and where that's evolved. So I really, as you know, based on the title of my show, love to understand people's passion and where it comes from and why they got into what they did.
Awesome. So something that you mentioned right now is this person is into veganism,
Mhm.
and you yourself, are the founder of Vegans of Miami. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, it
Okay,
is
great.
on
Uh,
Instagram. Yep.
it's on Instagram. Can you share us what it's all about and how did you start this passion project?
Yeah. So I've been vegetarian my whole life. And I remember when I had moved to Miami, my brother had told me he went vegan. And so one of my best friends is vegan. And I was like, oh, if my brother can do it, I can do it too. And my brother is no longer vegan, and I still am. I I think being a vegetarian, the hardest part was dairy, right? So once you decide, okay, I kind of just went cold turkey with dairy. And and I think the hardest part was finding a cheese that mimicked mozzarella cheese or cheddar cheese, and it's really not out there. And there are some brands that I love, like Follow Your Heart or BioLife, but they'll never be cheese. And you know what? I think I'm okay with that because I've now become a person who just loves a good marinara pizza. If it's a good tomato sauce, I'm here for it. And it was my brother who had come to visit me in Miami, and he was just like, you should create a Vegans of Miami account. And I was like, that is a good idea because at the time, 2018, 2019, veganism was really popping up within South Florida. And there's so many restaurants that cater to veganism. And so I was able to do such cool partnerships or, go to various restaurants and try their food and provide my analysis of it. And it's been fun and I'm continuing to evolve it. So it's greater than, what I envisioned too. And I'm I've built a community and there's so many people that I'm now can go to various events and be like, oh, okay, you're this person or you're this person. And it's awesome to see the growth of veganism and where it's come and how far and there's so much more to go.
So you have your Instagram. Is it only on Instagram or is this
Only on
also
Instagram. Yep. Yep.
on,
At
so
Vegans of Miami.
let me understand. Like, are you going around to different vegan restaurants and are you like a food critic or like what's going on?
Anytime I go, I don't always seek out vegan restaurants unless they're new or one of my favorites. And I don't go and tell the people that I'm going. There's been occasions where they'll invite us. I most recently was invited to Love Life Cafe in Miami, and they have this, it's a mock salmon. It's Oshi seafood. Got
Okay.
a chance to try that. And see, I've never had fish, so I wouldn't know the comparison. So I was like, I mean, it smells fishy, but it tasted good, I guess. I'm um I'm not a big mock meat person, but I thought it was good.
Okay. So maybe one of these days I will try to have a few days of either being vegetarian or vegan just to try it out. I mean, maybe I won't become vegan, but I think it's okay to just explore and to have an open mind. And
Definitely. And you don't even have to you can do like one day or one meal, right? And it doesn't, I'm sure there's places, or you have to let me know places in San Antonio that have vegan restaurants or vegetarian restaurants that are either solely that or,
well, I know there's a restaurant here in San Antonio. I don't think it's vegan the whole way around, but I think like they have an extreme amount of vegan options. It's called Farm Table, so I need to go for sure.
Ryan Farm to Table. That's what I'm talking about right there. Yeah.
So so now getting into not only the veganism, But how healthy is it in your perspective for a person to at least try it?
I mean, okay, so to be honest, there are processed foods within veganism as well, right? Like, I mean, mock meat can have lots of processed food within it too, but I think it's just being authentic to farm to table, as you mentioned, right? And so there's lots of variations from various dishes. There's lots of food bloggers I follow who have been able to like veganize a dish, whether that be a mac and cheese or, a great alternative is tofu to protein. So tofu can be made so many different ways. There are so many variations to it. And I mean, I pretty much eat it every day. My kid eats it every day. And at first, someone might be skeptical of it, but there's the more you try it and the more you season it, the more delectable it can become.
I remember the first time I had tofu, I was in the Philippines and I thought, what the hell is this? I've never seen this, I never tasted it. And after a while, I would be packing my bowl with tofu, with rice, with soy sauce, and it was just it was really, really, really good.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. There's so many different ways. And it's so much more accessible now to kind of go on Google and see what you can make or chat GPT, put in the ingredients that you have at home and it'll pop up a recipe that you can create. But I still highly recommend going to food bloggers and getting their firsthand recipes.
No, it sounds like you've always been healthy in the way you've been eating for all of your life. But was there ever a moment, and we're at the time of this recording, it's December, but not that long ago, we just had in America, I'm not sure about Canada, or you're in America too. You're in
Yeah,
Florida,
American.
right? Yes. Because we're talking about the Blue Jays and all that. But we have Halloween where all the not only kids, but even adults, hey, I'm raising my hand. I'm guilty. I had a few chocolates and not the healthiest food and drinks on Halloween. But for you, was there ever a moment or a period in your life where you were like, screw the healthy eating, I'm gonna eat like the rest of society?
I mean, like growing up, I don't think we knew as much as we do now when it comes to our food. So yeah, I would be eating those ketchup chips or like fries from McDonald's, a Big Mac without the meat. Like, what was I doing? Yes, it would literally be a Big Mac without the meat, and it would be mayo, lettuce, tomato. And what am I paying for? And that's what I would consume. But I wanted to, I think for me, it was like, well, I want to fit in with everyone who's eating a Big Mac, but just make mine without the meat. So obviously, my parents gave us candy. We ate random foods, but not meat, just, whatever. I think the times were different as well. Now we understand so much and are learning so much where our food comes from. And also, like, I've now become that mom who cleans all her fruits and vegetables once she gets them. Yes, yes, Ryan, I soak them in vinegar and baking soda because you know what? There are so many pesticides in these things, and even when you buy organic. So, yeah.
Yeah, so, well, thank you for sharing. I feel like there's like so many questions popping up in my head. I'm usually when I go to the grocery store, I just kind of spray it with water, dry a little bit, and just start.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't buy
No.
don't buy fruits.
Because grocery stores don't always tell you, but like, they're wax coating these fruits. So it's called a peel. And there's certain fruit, like they might not have it, they usually have it labeled, or there'll be a big sign at your local store that might say like Whole Foods sometimes has it too, where they are wax coated just so they look fresher. But they're just like, oh, it's fine to consume. But so I'm going home and I'm like trying to get all that wax coating off or as much as I can. I want to be giving that to my kid. The more I know, the more I'm try or my dream is I just want to have my own backyard where I grow my own food. Only if I had a good green thumb.
Well,
That's the goal. That is the
y-
goal.
yes, it's to, I mean, not, I mean, I think something that I'm trying to do, and I've been quite open about this more on my Facebook account, is that I believe in, well, the name of the podcast is The Truth That Heals.
Mhm.
But the way I try to view life is I want to have a healthy mind, a healthy heart and body, and a healthy soul. It's like, but how am I going to have a healthy body if I'm not eating healthy food? How am I going to have a healthy heart if I don't have a good heart or if I'm not getting exercise? Or how am I going to have a good mind if I'm not feeding it with good content or reading good materials? So for you, um, like what I know you started doing it because your brother was doing it, but he stopped doing the veganism. What helped you to keep going?
I think knowing that I could, I think it was just the willpower aspect of it as well. And you know what? It's actually helped me in my wellness journey as well. To your point, it's food is your medicine, right? And so you want to consume good food. And that then mindset helps you evolve into, for me, it's like exercise. And then the exercise goes into my wellness practice. I try to meditate or I try to light a candle and just stare at the candle to help with my nervous system. These are all little tricks I've learned through homeopathic way of life. I've always when I have a headache, I'll always turn to conventional medicine, but there are other avenues in which you can go through to help heal, right? You don't necessarily have to go for the Tylenol personally. And I've learned that through the practice that I'm doing now and the healing that I'm doing and what I'm learning about myself. And that has definitely helped in how I go about the journey of veganism. So for me, I think it's not just about the food, but it's evolved into the clothes I wear too, being conscious and being intentional about how I go through life. I think more and more. And I don't know if that's kind of trickled in with age too, but that's also helped. And my light just went out too. So hi guys, now you get this other background now too.
I thought, honestly, I thought that your wall was painted purple the whole time.
Yeah, now I guess the light. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. But now let me ask you this, because you've done so many things and you still are doing so many amazing jobs, with the podcast, the YouTube, the Instagram account on Vegans of Miami. Which one is your main passion project?
Oh my gosh, that's such a hard one. That is hard. I love them all, but at the moment, I want to say I really want to dedicate, or I'm trying to dedicate more time to the podcast. I really want to see that evolve, and I really want to continue to talk to people, to learn about them, to understand their journeys through life. And hopefully, there are ways in which they correlate with Vegans of Miami, but there's ways that in which they're different, and that's totally fine. But it becomes time consuming for sure because you have all these accounts now.
Yeah.
You're promoting on all these accounts too, and you're hoping that that builds, you know, passion and greatness and all that fun stuff.
So with your passion project, with your podcasts and all the accounts, what would you say today has been the biggest obstacle or challenge that you have to deal with?
I would say growth and engagement. I think that that is definitely always a challenge. I know that there are people listening, but I think it's just building momentum on what it's all about and the good around it. And maybe that comes with more consistency too. And I'm trying, but it can become difficult when you're a one-woman show.
Yes, but it's awesome that you have guests, so it's not just you all the time.
That too, I kind of want to evolve it into doing maybe some solo podcasts as well. There are some ideas I have around that and some topics I'd love to cover too. And I see other podcasters doing it too. So maybe that is something we can think
Oh,
about.
okay.
Put
Well,
that on the roadmap for my
that's
vision board.
that's cool because you've been doing this from 2018, and I believe I started, and I say I believe, I don't remember exactly when, because I know I started off with the blogs.
Yep.
But I see myself constantly evolving, and it's never like this is it. It's done and set. I see it's still alive, and it's like a living organism. It just keeps on growing, and I keep meeting different people. And I met you, I believe through Threads, and then we
Yeah.
started engaging. But it's like a whole. It's a lot of work, but it's also what we love to do. And sometimes we get new inspirations. So keep it up.
Same. You too. You're doing an amazing job. And like to your point, it's hard work, but listen, it's your passion, right? And it's what drives you as well. And I think that's so awesome to follow that because not many people get to say that they get to do what they love. So I would say keep up the amazing work you continue to do too.
Thank you. And before we get to our closing question, because this has been an awesome interview and I've learned so much, and it's just this, I think this interview is a lot different from perhaps some of the other episodes. But, for the audience, because some have asked me, what the hell is your podcast about? And I just want to make it clear that I'm open to inviting people from different walks of life, different philosophies, who are willing to share their truth that is positive, that is healing. It can be a story of resilience, of inspiration, or it can be educational. So today's interview wasn't like the traumatic episodes that others are, but still it brings a lot of uh you see the inspiration, you see the resilience, you see, don't give up. You see also you showing up in the locker room and the athletes just being super kind and nice, and then we see your growth and all these new projects. It's like bam bam bam. I think people, anyone who listens can learn something, so thank you.
Thank you. I completely appreciate it. I hope that I can inspire, and what you're doing is amazing work, and you are just meeting amazing people throughout your journey as well. So continue to keep up the awesome work.
So now I wanted to go to my question that I ask all of my guests, and that is, Pyle, what is your truth that heals?
I think the truth that heals for me is compassion. That's what came to my mind as soon as you asked me the question as well. And I feel like it's treating everyone with kindness, and kindness can go such a long way. And just bringing joy to the world is my truth.
Thank you so much. And where can people follow you?
Yes, thank you so much. So I am at Payal Doshi TV on Instagram, and I am at Passion Projects with Payal on Instagram, and at Vegans of Miami on Instagram, and then on YouTube at Payal Doshi. And you can find me on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. Same name.
And the blog? Or no more?
No, I don't have the blog anymore, but I am on your X as well. I'm at Doshi TV. So hit me up if you want to talk basketball or anything else round. That or on Threads at Payal Doshi TV too, Facebook. I'm
Excellent.
here for you.
And since you just mentioned basketball, I do have a question. Usually I always wrap it up around this time, but I
Yeah.
do have a question. Um, in 2019, the Raptors won the championship, correct?
Hmm.
With who was their star at that time?
Kawhi and
Kawhi.
Kyle?
Okay,
Kawhi
so
Leonard?
Kawhi
Yeah.
Leonard. So my question for you is, who would you, as a Toronto Raptors fan, who would you have hire Kawhi Leonard, who brought the championship to Toronto, or Vince Carter?
Ooh, well, I would say, and I think a lot of Toronto Raptors fans agree that Vince Carter put us on the map, but Kyle Lowry was also the catalyst in bringing that championship along with Kawhi. And Kyle Lowry will always be the GOAT, the greatest Raptor of all time.
The growth.
The GOAT.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Pyle,
Thank
for sharing
you.
your truth that heals. And to the audience, if you like this episode, please give it a like and subscribe, especially if you're listening to this on YouTube. If you're watching this on, say, Spotify or listening on Apple, please give a follow and please also give a rating. This podcast could use the love. And if you would like to help me, a little bit more, you can do so by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/truth7. And again, to our guest, Pyle, thank you so much for being an awesome guest here on the Truth That Heals podcast.
Thank you.